welcome back to Jem Customs. So look, this is part 4. Guitar's just been left where we last left it. So you still see I've got all these dangly strings hanging out everywhere. But everything's worked out pretty good so far. So I'm just going to recap just quickly. So what we did, we put the strings down there with the ring bit still on it. We've clamped them up. We fed the string all the way up the fretboard. Went underneath the nut here into the machine head. And then we used 4 fingers on the 12th fret, pulled the string over the top, got a bit of tension on there, and then we wound it up nice and tight. So the guitar's still not tuned. But at this point, what I like to do is make some space. We'll clean that off a little bit there. Move this manual holder out of the way. Just put this over here. Again, this is not normally my normal setup, what I do, but it'll work. Let's put this over here, put that there. Okay, so I've got a guitar lead here. Just a normal instrument cable for a guitar. We're going to put it so this one here can come off around. I'm actually going to plug it in because I'm plugging in a tuner. You're better off using tuners when you're doing this stuff. Best way to go. So this one in particular plugs in the back, like that. Then the other end, literally curling it around. I'm trying to keep it neat as I can. Plug it in. Now all I'm doing is turning it on. And we're just going to tune this to E440, okay? So if I just hit this string here, okay, it says I'm, go here, a bit tight. So I'm just getting it tuned. So you're tuning it to E. I just hit a harmonic. Sometimes it's better with the harmonics. Now you hear that bit there? So you can see I've got it. Okay? So what I do, now that I know that's tuned, that's the E in tune, I now just go back, I'll turn that off for a minute. So now what we do, I know the next string down is an A when you hit it open. So I try and find an A on the E, which is quite easy because you go E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, and then I'm trying to make them 2 strings sound the same now. In particular, I'm only going to turn the machine head that the A string's going through. So I'm holding it on the 5th. And another good thing to do, you can actually use harmonics here. So you can hit the harmonic on the 5th and hit the harmonic on the 7th, and when those 2 ring the same, that's what you tune the pitch to. I just want to go through this just a little bit quick because we can bog down into all this stuff. But now the next string I'm trying to tune is the D. So I have to find a D note on the A string. So it's really easy. You just go A when it's open, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. They all sound pretty good as it is. Yeah, and this is just how I left it last time. There's no, they go really good like that, right? I can do the same just with now to tune the G string, I can just do the same with the D harmonic. That sounds different, right? You can hear how the second note was up high in pitch. Let's just do that again. So I know where my tune, it's got to be tuned down, okay? And if I do this, if I hold the 5th fret on the D, because that's a G note, that's why I'm holding it there, because I'm trying to tune that G. So if you listen to the notes, how different they are, the other one sounds a bit high, and you can check that by moving up one. See how that sounds a bit better? If I go again, see how it's getting too high now where I'm going? So what I like to do is hold, if I'm tuning the G string there, we have to make sure that on the D string you're finding a G note. And the easiest way to do that is go D, D sharp, E, there's no E sharps, F, F sharp, G, and that needs to come down, right? Sounding better already. So this is where I use the harmonics now. Because with harmonics you can really hear the wave of the musical note, and then like it smooths out when it gets into pitch. So that sounds a lot better there now. And I like to hold an open E chord. So it's getting there. Now on the G, we want to tune the B string, okay? So the B one is the second thinnest one from the bottom. So I've got to find a B, but I've got to find it on the G. So if we go G, G sharp, then we go back to A, okay? Because in music, you only go from A to G. You go G sharp, and everything goes back to A again. So we got G, G sharp, A sharp, B. See, they sound pretty good there. And if I confirm that with the E, that sounds all right. I like that. Play a D. Sounds good. Now, I can tell straight away the high E is way out for some reason. I reckon when I walked away there, it's stretched and it's gone really out of pitch. So let's check that. So I'm trying to tune the high E. So I need to find an E note on that B string. So you just go B. There's no B sharps. So you go B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. Now you'll notice here, every time you tune in the next string up, you're always holding it in the 5th fret, except when it comes to tuning the B, you hold your finger in the 4th fret on the G. It's the only one you go back to the 4th. All the other ones are all in the 5th fret. So when you're doing this a little bit faster, you just know straight away, once you've tuned that E in, you go straight to the 5th, and then now you're tuning the A. Then you go to the D. Then you got the G, B, because I'm in the 4th fret now on the G. Now we're trying to tune the high E. See how that sounds low? And now if I go back to to my left, and I'm heading towards up to the machine head here, if I'm going down like that, that means the high E is down in tune. So, see how that sounds a bit more in tune if I go back a fret? So the string's too loose. The string needs to be tensioned up a little bit. So, that's sounding better there already. You can do the harmonics. Okay, then you play the E. Sounds good. You can play a D. It's all sounding really nice. So, but what I'm trying to do here, I'm just playing the strings. I'm going to use this tremolo. I'm going pretty savage on it, right? Karate chop, Steve Vai style. Because all I'm doing here is really stretching the strings in, okay? Okay, then you give them another little one of these. Because with these floating tremolos, if you stretch these strings in, they're going to stay in tune forever. Now, looking at the back of it here, it's looking bang on. Like, the level of this bridge is looking really good, okay? So, I'm going to give it a proper tune now. I'm going to use the tuner to tune all the strings. So, I'm back at the E. Now, a good trick when you're tuning, just tap, see how, if you tap this around, you can almost, you want to make sure with these tremolo units, because I'll say savage, you want to make sure it zeroes itself out and it gets back to like its zero net position, right? So, I know, okay, so that's pretty good. Now A. Everything's changed because I really went bad on the tremolo. But this is a good thing because it'll, once it is all tuned, it'll be perfect. Okay. G sharp, that's a bit high. Feels weird doing it like this. Oops. So I'm just tuning it in. I'm just going through all the notes. We'll talk about what the notes are later. But I know what I'm tuning to. And I'm just trying to get it all in because I don't want to lock them at these locking nuts until it's a lot closer. Fine tuning that in now, just getting that down. And whenever you're tuning guitar, you don't want to wind down, you want to wind past pitch and tune up to pitch. For floating trems, it just works really good. Okay, this is nearly done. Almost there now. And that setting up there is going really good. I can tell that once this is done, it's going to stay in tune really well. Like it's only, because this tune is really, just that E. You've got to just keep going up and down the strings. Because as you're tensioning one, you're moving the angle of this bridge here. And you just got to keep going until it settles in. And this is so close here to being done. Okay, so once that's done there, what I like to do now is, you've got to do these, tighten up the nut here. So I just like to start at the 6, I just wind it down just a little bit, just firm. Okay, you don't have to go super tight on this. It's just locking the strings so they don't come out of tune. Oop, so they don't slip, basically. There we go, we do that. Now they're all locked down, and then this is where you need to get your side cutters. And you just give this a bit of a trim off. I just like to leave just a little bit hanging out off the edge. Just give them a cut. Just being careful not to snip one of the strings. It's getting in my way there. Just because of the angle it's on. Throw them on there so I don't lose it. This is cleaning up really nice now. So you get this one here, a little bit there, a little bit there, and it's done. That's looking really neat. Okay, so they're just all the offcuts there. I'm just going to put them down here. All I'm going to do now is just give this a final tune. Turn this tuner back on. I don't know, I just like to do this. Once you've tensioned that, you just want to know that you're looking pretty good on here. Perfect. Okay, so if I just take, what I'll do, I'll just take this lead out, because on these bridges, you want them to sit pretty much nice and parallel with the body. I'll go like that. That's just looking nice and level with the body. It's perfectly level there, so it's sitting good. That's where you want this particular bridge to be sitting. So because I had a bit of cloth under there and I held it in position, I've put the strings on and everything's held its own. I don't need to adjust anything on that. But if I did, if this was sitting forward, that means there's too much tension on these strings. I would tighten the springs up on the back to pull the bridge back, and then I'd have to undo the tension on the strings to get that to come back, and the whole thing would start winding backwards. But look, let's just finish this one off here, and then we'll get on to the next one. We'll hear how this really sounds now. All right, thanks everybody.